Update. I'm considering divorcing my wife because she can't get over her mom dying. I just kind of threw that post together as a stream of consciousness vent on my break at work. I didn't go back and look at it until later because I assumed it would go unnoticed since nothing I posted before had ever gotten much attention. And honestly, I thought I was going to get torn apart in the comments for being insensitive or uncaring. I was surprised by the number of responses and the kind private messages I received, and I felt a bit overwhelmed at the thought of responding to them all, so I decided to post an update here. Some people mentioned that I should have her involuntarily admitted to a medical facility. I didn't mention it in the original post, but I asked our family doctor about that about a year ago, and he told me that unless she was a danger to herself or others, it was unlikely to happen. I looked this up myself, and it seems to be true in the state we live in. I agree that she needs medical treatment. I suspect that during her year of grief counseling after her mom's death, she wasn't honest with her therapist. I have a particularly sad memory of her coming home after one of her last sessions and telling me that her counselor said she probably wouldn't need to go much longer, and then she went to bed and cried. I haven't been able to convince her to go back to therapy. However, I'm glad I posted on Reddit because somehow I hadn't considered that she might need more intensive treatment than just therapy. I also saw a comment that scared the hell out of me, suggesting that she might do something drastic if I give her a divorce ultimatum. With this in mind, I don't think that's the way to approach the problem. Instead, I'm planning to write her a letter explaining how we need her back and that we love her and care deeply for her, but that she needs more help than we can provide on our own, and tell her that she needs to go to the doctor and be honest about what she's been going through. Thank you, everyone, for your advice. Second update. I wasn't planning to post again, but I received a lot of supportive messages asking for an update. So here we go. My soon-to-be ex-wife has completely lost her damn mind. After my last post, I spent a couple of days writing her the letter. In it, I explained that the kids and I love her deeply and that we're worried about her. I outlined all the concerning behavior and told her that I believe she needs to seek additional medical care. I explained that it seems like she has complex grief, thanks to everyone who pointed that out, and that the grief therapy she attended years ago wasn't enough to help her get through it. I didn't mention anything about a potential divorce, but I did tell her that the kids can't continue living in their current situation. It was a long letter, and I don't really feel like transcribing it here. I read the letter to her the same night I finished writing it, after the kids had gone to bed. After I finished reading it, she just stared at me for probably 15 minutes, then finally got up and started walking to the door. I panicked and tried to stop her, asked her where she was going, if we could talk about it, and that I was concerned for her safety. She rolled her eyes at me and said in the coldest voice I've ever heard her use, "I hope when your parents die, someone doesn't tell you to get over it." After that, I didn't try to stop her. I just let her go. I was angry for about 5 minutes before the panic set back in. I really thought she was going to harm herself. I checked my phone, and she had turned off her location. I called and texted probably 50 times over the next hour, begging her to at least let me know she was okay and that she wasn't going to do something drastic. Right before I was about to call the police, I got a call from her phone. I answered immediately, and before I could say much, a man's voice told me, "She's fine, but she doesn't want to talk to you," and hung up. At that moment, I felt like I was having an out-of-body experience. I had no idea what was going on. I almost called the police anyway, but I was disassociating hard and talked myself out of it. I kept calling her phone all night, but no one picked up again. After about 2 a.m., it started going straight to voicemail. I barely slept that night. When I woke up the next day, she wasn't home. I took the kids to school. I usually do this, and my wife is usually still asleep while I do it, so thank God they didn't ask where mom was. I tried calling her phone more throughout the morning, but it kept going to voicemail. I called her office and asked if she was at work, and they told me she had called in sick. I called in sick to work as well and basically just sat on the couch, trying to get a hold of her while being a nervous wreck. I also called my mom and asked if she could pick the kids up from school that day and watch them overnight. I didn't tell her everything that was going on yet, just that something urgent had come up and I needed some help. My wife walked in the door sometime after 4 p.m. I tried to hug her, and she shied away from me. I asked her where she had been. No response, just a blank stare. I asked her who had called me from her phone. No response, blank stare. At this point, I was frustrated and told her that if she didn't want to explain what was going on, she could get the hell out. I regret saying it that way now, but I was really frustrated. So she started talking, but it was like I was listening to a text-to-speech AI using her voice. No emotion, completely flat, almost annoyed. She told me she had gone to her friend John's, fake name, house. I had no idea who John was and asked her to explain more. Over a roughly 2-hour conversation where I had to drag details out of her, I got most of the story. She was responding like a lawyer. Very basic answers, no details or context beyond exactly what I was asking. Basically, John is a co-worker. I've met the guy once or twice at office party type events, but never really talked to him. I never saw him spending time with my wife or showing any interest in her. But apparently, for the past year or so, she's been sharing all her feelings about grieving her mother's death with him, and he's been comforting her. He also lost a parent to cancer, so I guess she felt they had a connection that she didn't have with me. After I read her the letter, she says she realized that I don't care about her or her mother's death, and went to John's house to talk and be comforted. I asked her point blank if she was having an affair with him, and she said no. I asked why she never mentioned being close friends with this unknown guy, and she said it was none of my business. I asked if anything happened between them while she was there, and she told me they cuddled, and he held her while she cried. I asked to see her phone to check the messages between them, and she refused. I couldn't get many more details about the whole situation, so when she went to shower, I tried to check her phone. She had changed her passcode. I grabbed her iPad, which still had my fingerprint registered, and checked there. I left the house with the iPad to look for evidence while she was in the shower. I didn't immediately see any messages from a John, but after a bit of searching, I found it. She had him saved as Stacy in her contacts, but it was obviously him. There were messages going back more than a year. A lot of her talking about her mom, a lot of him comforting her, a lot of messages from him telling her that I really didn't care about her and that he would never treat her that way if they were married. All her replies were in agreement. A lot of messages from her complaining about me. A lot of messages from him talking badly about me. The night she left, she had texted him, "Screw it. I'm coming over if the offer still stands," followed by an immediate reply of, "Yes." Then, the next morning, a text from her to him saying, "If he asks, we just talked." I vomited out of my car door in the Walmart parking lot for 20 minutes. I went back home and found her on the couch with her phone, seemingly unconcerned or unaware that I had even left. I told her I knew, and that she needed to leave. Again, she just stared at me for a while, not responding, until I got angry and told her to get the hell out of the house. She immediately got up, told me, "John was right about you," and left. I haven't seen her since then. I told the kids she went to visit her parents. I don't know what to tell them, but I have to tell them something soon. I really don't know what to do. I'm supposedly supposed to divorce her, but going through custody, child support, etc., is dizzying. I feel paralyzed and haven't made any moves yet. I know she's lost her mind and that this is probably some kind of psychotic break, but I just don't care anymore. I put on a brave, numb face to go to work, then for my kids at night, and then cry after they go to sleep until I fall asleep myself. I feel like my life is essentially over. I feel like John took advantage of her vulnerability, but I don't even want to bother trying to make her see that he's a predator. She chose this over her damn family that stood by her. I don't think I'll post any more updates or log into this account again. Top comments. Comment 1. And you know John won't stick around once the novelty of the affair wears off. Comment 2. Jesus, what did I just read? My God, poor Opie and the kids. At this point, the wife is simply a lost cause who needs serious help, and John is clearly taking advantage of her. Comment 3. Well, I wish I hadn't read this. I feel so bad for him and those kids.